Alright, you probably clicked on this video because you've seen the thumbnail. You probably expected a nice little story about an abused witch getting revenge on a stupid little village. But have you ever thought about what the experience would be like for the villagers? You know, the people who hunt the witch. What if you were in their shoes? Would you still think hunting the witch was the right thing to do? Or maybe you would be scared shitless. The streets of our story today are dark and wet. Rain pours down in sheets and the wind picks up fallen leaves, swirling them into monstrous shapes that dance before your eyes. The distant howl of a dog echoes between the buildings and makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. It's nights like these that you wish you were safely tucked away in bed, far away from the chilling sounds of the night. Tonight, though, you can't go to sleep. Something happened earlier, something that's left you shaken and scared. You don't know exactly what it was, but all you do know is that your child isn't in bed with you tonight. Earlier in the day, you sent your son or daughter out to fetch some water from the well at the end of town. It was an old, moss-covered well shrouded in mystery. Most people said it was cursed. Legend had it that anyone who drank water from the well would lose their sanity within a week and begin acting erratically, often violently. Most people avoided it, but times were tough and you needed water. You didn't care about any curse. Your child needed water more than they needed your protection. So you sent them to the well and then waited for them to come back. But they never did. Now, as you pace your home, you call out into the darkness. Your name is swallowed by the shadows. Now you have to get your coat. You live in a small village surrounded by fields and forests. It's safe. People aren't usually taken in the night, especially not children. Even so, you need to get your coat. The rain's soaking through your shirt and you're shivering, not just from the cold, but from fear. This hasn't happened here in a long time, not since the last one. But who could it be? Who would dare take a child from their home? It could be the work of wolves, hungry wolves with sharp teeth and cruel eyes. It could be thieves looking for a new plaything. Or perhaps it could be her, Elira the Ashborn. She's a witch who lives deep in the forest, a witch whose name has become synonymous with fear and pain. For years, she's been blamed for everything bad that happens in this town. Crop failures, deaths of livestock, and now maybe your child. Some might say there's nothing you can do, that you should just wait until morning and then organize a search party. But that's foolish. Whoever took your child means to hide them. By morning, it will be too late. There's only one thing to do. You have to go to her yourself. As you follow the winding path through the town, you pass familiar homes. Each one looks darker and emptier than the last. Your neighbors watch you from their windows, their faces pale and drawn. They're afraid. They're all afraid of what happened to your child and what might happen to them. You understand their fear, but you also know that they're wrong. This isn't her fault. This is your fault. You know that. You're the one who needs to fix this. You arrive at the edge of town where the road meets the forest. The trees seem to loom over you, their branches twisted and gnarled like the bones of some great beast. A thick fog rolls in from the woods, tendrils reaching out like icy fingers. You feel a sudden urge to turn back, to run back to the safety of your home and lock the door. But you don't. You can't. Not now. Not when your child is out there somewhere waiting for you. As you walk into the fog, it feels as if you're being watched. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig makes you jump. But you keep going forward, deeper and deeper into the forest, until finally you see it. Her house, it stands at the edge of a clearing, a crooked silhouette against the gray sky. Smoke curls from its chimney, and a faint light spills out from one of the windows. It's a beacon in the darkness, beckoning you closer. And you know that if you want to save your child, you must knock on that door. Your hand trembles as you reach out to knock, but before your knuckles can make contact with the wood, the door swings open. There she is, Elira the Ashborn. She stands framed in the doorway, her face obscured by the shadows. But even in the darkness, you can see the power that emanates from her, a power that's both terrifying and alluring. Your voice catches in your throat. You want to speak, to demand answers, but no words come out. All you can do is stare at her, hoping that she'll understand the fear and desperation that's etched on your face. Finally, she speaks, her voice like the rustling of dead leaves. "What do you want?" she asks. And in that moment, you know that whatever answer you give will change your life forever. This is our protagonist, a regular man who just wanted to protect his child. When faced with the possibility that his child might be taken by wolves, thieves, or maybe even a witch, he didn't hesitate to do what he thought was right. But what's interesting here is how he doesn't actually believe that Elira took his child. Let's take a look at that. When the protagonist goes to warn the villagers, he says this: "You think she's responsible for everything. The crops, the animals, and now my son. But I know the truth. It wasn't her. It was the Baron. He cursed our land so he could buy it for cheap." In this scene, we see that the protagonist is already convinced of the Baron's guilt. He knows that the Baron cursed the crops and killed the animals, and he suspects that the Baron is responsible for his son's disappearance as well. So why does he go to Elira? It's simple. The villagers believe that Elira is responsible, and they will only listen to her. If he wants to find his son, he needs their help. And to get their help, he needs to play along. When the villagers are planning to hunt her down, the protagonist tries to convince them that she's innocent. But they don't listen. They're too afraid, too desperate. They're willing to believe anything to protect themselves. If they only listened to him, maybe things would have turned out differently. Maybe they could have found another way to solve their problems. Maybe they could have found his son without having to resort to violence. But they didn't. They listened to their fears, and those fears led them to the most terrifying place of all, the abyss of despair. Their worst fears came true when they realized that they were too late. His son was gone forever. There was no saving him now. And in their grief, they turned on each other, blaming each other for his death. The protagonist watches them all, knowing that he could stop them, that he could save them from themselves. He could tell them that she's not responsible, that she's innocent. But he doesn't. He lets them destroy themselves because he knows that they deserve it. They brought this upon themselves. They refuse to listen to reason. They refuse to believe the truth. And now they must face the consequences. They may think that they're punishing her, but really they're punishing themselves. They're the ones who will pay the ultimate price. Hey everyone, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please consider subscribing. We'd really appreciate it. Also, if you have a story idea or a prompt that you want us to use, feel free to share it in the comments. We love hearing from you guys, and we can't wait to see what you come up with next. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.